with it. So that's space shuttle. Book review will be on the Space Shuttle Operator's Manual. I guess it's for the Columbia Discovery Challenger at Atlantis. It's put out by Balitine Books in New York. It's by Kerry Mark Gills, Gregory P. Kennedy, and designed by David Larken. I bought the book because I was kind of curious about, you know, what it'd be like to fly it, and it's got it's a good diagram of the space shuttle. Just kind of basic blueprints. But I was thinking in terms of the Enterprise's space shuttle, and I was thinking, well, how similar would it be to this space shuttle? Because it has to operate within the same parameters when it hits the Earth atmosphere and stuff. Well, it has a different propulsion. You know, I was kind of curious to put my thinking together and try to figure out what they would use. And I came to the conclusion that it's a little bit more simpler of a control panel and stuff. Especially if they would be communicating with the command ship instead of a ground crew, which is what the space shuttles was communicating with. So it's kind of a different situation, and I came to the conclusion that it would probably be a lot more simpler of a control panel. But it's still pretty interesting as far as you know, you want a command seat in the space shuttle. This is the book, you know, and it pretty well covers the procedure manual. So I mean, it's not like it takes an Air Force pilot or an engineer to fly it, which isn't true. They really weren't flying it in the first place. It was in automatic pilot. But you know, eventually, you know, maybe that space program will arrive. You know, getting on a spaceship will be just like going down to your local train and jumping on board. You know, I see stargates being put out there, and you know, you want to go to another planet. It's just like jumping aboard a train, and you go out into the outer atmosphere, and then you hit a stargate, and you're on. You know, and there's several galaxies out there that they've discovered that has a lot of high energy. I don't know if it's electromagnetism or whatever, that they were looking for that, and they did find several galaxies out there, but it's not as common as you think it is. It is a possibility that that's what they have set up, you know, and you know, it'd be a pretty neat civilization probably to live on, because you could just go anywhere you wanted, and it'd be just like jumping on a train. We're drinking a mixture of ginseng and Camille. It's kind of my aphrodisiac for the evening. But anyways, here's a flight profile, and you can see why it's on pretty much automatic. I personally think that they should have had instead of Air Force pilots being out there, they should have had the United States Navy involved. And going into outer space should be just go and join the Navy. 2 years of training, and anybody could go up in outer space. Yeah, you know, they're kind of You know, they just never have put that space agency out there. But, you know, 2 years of military training, or naval training, and anybody can fly the space shuttle or even go out there. Here's yeah, it's basically saying that, you know, that's in the flying it is pre-programmed, and here's that panel, and all they're looking at is numbers, and then looking it up in the manual to tell them as to, you know, what stage you're in. Return to launch site, abort, glide option, program code. It would light up, and this is all the control panel is basically 1970s technology. And the new control panel would be a lot more similar to what you would find on a touch screen or something. You know, it'd be a lot more simplified, and you know, it's not, you know, it's just that control panel right there. What's the chances of punching the wrong button? You know, it's not something you would find on Star Trek, and it's not something you'd want to happen. But here you get all kinds of, shows you about how to open up crew compartments. So, you know, if you're watching the Battlestar Galactica series, you know, think about, you can see the shuttle, the Vipers, you know, go to 2 years of naval training, then you get this a manual similar to this, and you're ready to go. You know, that's what a space agency should be. Yeah, here's what a pilot's looking at as far as control panel goes. It looks like something you would find on a 747, you know. There's a lot of little gadgets and stuff that they put on there. Here's the timeline for takeoff and return. Each so many minutes they count off, and then you have to do a check. And they have this on a clipboard in the space shuttle, so you can get it's called I've been taking event management courses, and you get something similar to this every so many hours. You got to have an event. And you have to push a button, or you have to check something. It's all done by procedures. They've never had a whole lot of accidents up there, and this is one of the reasons why. It's very carefully coordinated. So, you know, it's just like event management. Event management started out in the military, so each timeline you have certain things you have to check. Make sure you have your backups are on. The two shuttle disasters, it wasn't anything the pilots did. It was just something that happened to the external tank, or and it was too late. The Columbia was already underway when it blew up, and there's no way they could have saved it. They never made any plans. The only emergency plan they had is if they could disconnect the external tank if they had time, and then glide back and do a crash landing, which they never have done, but they could have. And then the other Space Shuttle Challenger, I mean, you can look at the video on YouTube as to what they were looking when they were coming back into Earth's re-entry. You know, they had no idea they were fixing it. That was going to be the end, you know. But all these flight checks, voice checks, cabin vents, you know, it's all done by timing. And you have a command center. You know, it's pretty extensive. All these are checked. Check main engine pressure, check main engine status, check solid booster ignite, lift off, launch tower cleared, 100-degree roll into heads down, position start, roll maneuver complete. All these, you know, they have similar. If you're on a submarine, you have a you get the same procedure checks and stuff. So, you know, here's the launch tracker. If you're in the tracking station, you see it. That's what they're looking at in the mission control. They have tracking satellites, I mean stations all over the world. So I actually talked to one while I was in the Navy. It's a pretty neat job, but it's kind of isolated. They have, the one I talked to was in Seychelles Island out there in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And it's one of the tracking stations. When they weren't launching anything, there really wasn't a whole lot to do. So, you know, they said it's a pretty easy job, but, you know, they weren't always doing things at NASA. And, you know, a lot of times they didn't have a whole lot to do other than track satellites and stuff. You know. Here's the digital autopilot's control. Here's all your air and water. That's kind of similar to submarine training. It's the same thing. You just learn the whole system where all the fire extinguishers at, all your air valves, everything that, you know, to keep your life support. Your all that is on you just learn to run through it, and they drill you and drill you and drill you, and you could do it blindfolded, you know. You know where the nearest fire extinguishers at, you know where your heaters are at, you know where your shutdowns are at, and after just constantly training and stuff, it becomes natural. You can do it automatically. So it's not a whole lot different from submarine training. The only thing about submarines is that there's no windows in it, and you start getting a little bit paranoid after about 3 months is the limit, and the Lord of the Flies starts taking effect. You know, your two guys will be walking down a hallway and they bump into each other, and it almost triggers a fight. It just, people start getting real paranoid and stuff, and you know, about 3 months is about the limit. You know, without hitting port. You hit port, then things are okay again. You know, you can go to the bar, drink, go to the strip joints, whatever, but you know, 3 months underwater is about the limit. People start arguing, people get real paranoid and stuff. They don't have that problem as much going up to the International Space Station. There's windows and stuff. They can see the sun come up and go down. But when you're in a submarine and there's no windows and all you see is fluorescent lights 24 hours a day, running 24-hour shifts, you know, 3 months is about the limit. So, you know. There's some pretty, you know. Let's talk about G-forces and microgravity, how to use the exercise bike. You know, they do a lot of stationary biking and stuff to kind of, you know, keep the bones from getting too brittle and stuff, because they're almost, you know, after 6 months they're almost paraplegics. It's very harsh on the body, and there's no replacement for gravity, artificial gravity. There's no way they could stay out there for any extended period of time without artificial gravity. They'd be quadriplegics. Here's food and drink. Here, I guess, do your space shuttle menu list. You get, oh, they got a pretty good menu: beef almondine, bananas, beef jerky, beef patties, broccoli gratin, macaroni and cheese. Food bar is chocolate chip. You know, so it's a pretty full menu. So. Cauliflower with cheese, cereal bran and flakes. Shows you how to use the food dispenser, you know. So, you know, it. Here's the sleeping quarters, how to use it. It's kind of similar to what a submarine is. It's not a whole lot different. So, you got clothing. In fact, it's not any different at all. The only thing different is we had about this much room per bunk. So if you're thinking about sleeping aboard the Battlestar Galactica or something like that, they get a little bit more room. But on the space shuttle, they had a little bit more room. But you know, on a submarine, you got about this much space to sleep in. So you have to kind of get in sideways and then throw your legs up. And I'll tell you what the hazard of that is, because if you're in the top bunk and the guy down below you, he has to roll out of his bunk. But if you go to battle stations and you jump out of, you know, run out of your, fly out of your bunk and you land on the guy below you, you know, it can, sometimes that did trigger wrestling matches on the submarine. You know, you break somebody's ribs or something. Waste management, personal hygiene. If you're ever curious about how they do that up there, this will tell you. It kind of looks similar. The bathroom looks similar to what you would see on an airplane, so I don't think it's a whole lot different. In fact, it really isn't. It's the same bathroom, the same setup. What you'd fly if you went to fly on an airline. Hand washing station's a little bit different. That's up in there. There's how to operate the remote manipulator on them. I think that was made by the Canadians. Yeah, it's remote. Here's how to, shows you how to run it. You know, it was made by the Canadians, and it's a pretty critical piece of machinery for getting satellites in and out. Here's a release of a PAMD, Payload Assist Module. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. Huh. I guess it's a procedure for getting the satellites out of the cargo bay, but I'm not sure. There's something simple, a task of learning how to put on a spacesuit, you know. I didn't do any Navy diving, but that was part of the Navy divers, learning how to put on a deep sea diving gear. So if you want to learn how to do that, you have to volunteer to be a Navy diver also. Extra, yep. Here's how to put on that's something I'd love to do. Take a spacewalk with the backpack, and that would be kind of neat. They play around with it underwater too. You know, you can shoot around on in the big pool. You know. There's ship's communications. Submarine, we don't have that. We use just a phone, just like a bat phone or something. You pick it up, and blap, 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 blap. They don't use that kind of communications on a submarine. There's a space telescope. That was one of the larger payloads they put out there. I think it's the largest payload outside the stuff they put out there with the International Space Station. So I guess that's the reason why that's in here. There's a tracking and data relay satellite. That's one of the things that they, you see those guys that work around the world. It's a neat job. I think you have to be, I don't know, I was trying to think of what the qualifications were. It's been since I got out of the Navy back in '93, and I remember talking to those guys and asking what the qualifications were, but I don't know why I didn't, I guess I forgot about it. But it was something I was kind of interested in. I thought, man, that'd be kind of a gravy job, you know, to run that. And you get to live on remote islands and stuff, you know. But I didn't remember at the time, it's like, I don't remember where they got the schooling in. You'd have to look through the internet to find out where the school is that covers that kind of stuff. Some of that you can learn in the Navy. But I'm not sure what the full school is. Launch it. There's procedures if they have a launch aboard. I don't think they did. Well, the Apollo astronaut crew just burned up. I mean, they don't get a whole lot of warning. They never took off. And capsule got caught on fire and they fried, and there was no, you know, I don't know what the full circumstances were, but the astronauts never got to could even leave the capsule. They just got smoked. You know, it's still pretty dangerous up here, but I think as the technology gets even better and stuff, it gets more simple to get up there. The control panels it's not as complex and involved, and you know, just getting up there is just like jumping on a train. You know, I can easily see the Battlestar Galactica being up there. That's my vision of the Navy. I mean, Miss Thatcher almost lost her entire fleet out there of aircraft carrier. She had 2 aircraft carriers and a whole fleet, and just Exocet missiles. You know, she almost lost her whole fleet. I mean, to me, it's a waste of money. I mean, I would be more involved in trying to get a global government or something together, and then putting a Galactica up there with an international crew. You know, they had the ability we got about 5 space agencies out there. They had the ability to put heavy payloads out there. It's not like they couldn't put something similar to that up there. You just have to have the global government and the resources to do that. As far as being able to jump, they could probably get up to light speed eventually, but as far as hyperspace goes and warp drive, you're talking science that, you know, I think NASA's only had some indicators that, you know, whether that's out there yet or not, or you know, that I know that they are looking for that, you know, but you don't always get information. You look through the internet, Secure Team's a good site, and you know, the stuff that gets released, that's kind of the WikiLeaks of NASA, is Secure Team, and some of the other sites out there. So, you know, there's our medical kit. It's not Leonard McCoy, but it's pretty standard medical equipment for emergencies and stuff. Flight deck consoles. There's your control panel. You find that control panel isn't a whole lot different from a submarine. It's not as hard as people would think it is. In fact, most of those are just monitoring panels, and if something starts blinking, you have to know what you're looking at, and you have to go to sound off. So a lot of it's just pressure readings and stuff, and you know, but you have to know, you know, when it starts blinking what you're looking at. You have to know what procedure to go by to you have a mission control down. You know, you say, okay, well, this light's blinking, it's coming from this panel, and then you get feedback from them also. So it's not as, you know, it's not too complex. It's not something that is too hard to not anybody could learn how to do. You know, the Battlestar Galactica, they were sending their Vipers down to the planet. You know, so you know, this control panel be somewhat similar, but it'd be a lot more simplified, is what I would say. It's similar to what a jet would fly. You know. Here's all what's the events that are happening as the shuttle comes in. It's very fast. Let me see what the timeline is for this. Maximum heating, blackout, deorbit, burn. All that happens fairly quickly. It's not something they could fly because it's like an asteroid flying through the atmosphere. Why it does use a stick, and it's, you know, the pilot can take control. It's the maneuvers happen so quickly. It's in autopilot. They can't take it over if they have to, but it just happens too quick. Yeah, you can see when there's about 20 minutes between each procedure. It's very quickly to come back to Earth. And you see the timeline. You study event management, you have a timeline when things got to happen. There's a good, lead communications, blackout, second roll reversal, speed brake to 100%, third roll reversal, S-turn, move speed brake to 65%. Deactivate OMS, RCS order, prepare to turn orbiter over to the ground control. So here's, they even give you a satellite repair mission. They give you, you're flying the space shuttle, unless you're the astronaut, they give you a mission and shows you what you got to do. Here's one as a satellite repair mission, satellite repair checklist. Communications satellite deployment mission. Space telescope deployment mission. Skyla Space Lab mission. There's a good blowout view of the space shuttle. There's a